Here we go. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everyone. Christopher Pellegrini and Stephen Lyman reporting live from various parts of Japan. Happy Shochu'sday, everyone, and a big
Good morning.
Kanpai to y'all. Stephen, how you
Cheers.
doing?
Good. I'm still waking up like usual, but it is officially spring. There are cherry blossom buds on the trees, and people have gotten rid of their winter coats.
Yeehaw!
Yeah,
finally,
nice. Absolutely,
love it.
It's time for a change.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be perpetually happy with the weather because I'm down in Okinawa still, but it is nice to hear that everyone else is catching up. Although I hear that the allergy season in Kyushu is in full effect, and I'm headed your way in a little bit, so that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Sure.
But yeah, what's in your glasses, everyone? Please drop a comment either on Facebook or on YouTube. Let us know what you're sipping, and let's start the revelry. But today, let's see. I don't know if we're going to start with booze news, I guess. Yeah, of course we're going to start with booze news.
Sure.
What is going on in the world right now, in the world of booze? Stephen, do you have anything to report?
Yeah. I don't really. Anything on your mind?
Well, there's the thing on my mind, which I found to be very interesting, was over the past week or so, the Tokyo outerlying islands and their kind of, what do they call it? Like the 7-island group of, or is it 7 distilleries? I don't remember, but the group of distilleries that are in the Tokyo outerlying islands, the Izu Islands, they have a little association, and it seems like they've sponsored an Instagram campaign, and they have all of these quote unquote influencer type women who are doing posts in English about a particular, each one's doing a different brand of shochu made on the islands. And last week there was just a blast of them over a period of days. And I think if you just search for the shochu hashtag, a lot of the stuff that'll probably bubble to the top in terms of the most relevant or the most liked recently will be from that campaign. And it was, at first it was like, okay, you see the first one and you're like, okay, this is clearly a model or some sort of personality, somebody with talents that I don't have. And she is holding this bottle of, that's a Tokyo shochu. Okay. And you scroll down, it's like all English content. I'm like, what is going on here?
Huh.
Who came up with this? And then that wasn't just once, it wasn't a one-off. And it's like a pretty detailed post, not only about the drink, but about where it's from. And then there must have been a couple, there was at least a dozen that I personally saw. I think.
Okay.
And so something's going on. I don't know what it is, but there's money being spent, it seems, to get these young people to talk about shochu and do it in English. I don't know who's doing the content. I don't know who's writing this stuff. I can't imagine that all of these people speak native or write native level English. I just, that would be amazing to me. But maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe they do. It's not impossible. It's just to find so many of them and then have all of this stuff curated at the same time is pretty impressive. So I think there's some intense guidance going on behind the scenes because they all seem to follow a pattern.
Interesting. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good campaign they got going. Somebody.
And it is interesting because it begs the question, like, what's the ROI here, and what parts of this are valuable and can be repurposed? What should we be learning from this? This is what we're really interested in, is like, what are the best practices here? Does it actually work? Does it trigger curiosity? It's a fair question.
Yeah.
And the cynic in me says, I mean, when was the last time you clicked on a beverage post because a young woman was holding the bottle and going like, and doing, I can't think I've ever clicked on an ad because of that personally.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Is it ads for the brand or is it for the Islands? Is it a tourism play or what's
it seems like a little bit of a tourism thing but it's definitely about the shochu. The shochu is the focus.
Right. I wonder if they've got other local cultural or culinary things that are also being promoted, but you're getting the shochu because of the algorithm.
That's
right.
I hadn't thought about that, and that is not impossible at all.
Yeah. Something to explore.
I'm gonna check the shochu hashtag and see what comes to the top.
Sure.
Funny piece of crap to it. Now I guess I have to actually type a hashtag in. And now it'll search. And if I find one of these posts, I'm going to share my screen so that everybody can see it. That's
sure.
But well, actually, stuff from Brazil is coming up. That the Brazil shochu course was a big thing last week, and then there's all these cocktail competitions, which is great to see. Ooh, did I find one? Nope, I did not. That's actually a Japanese language post. But anyways, that was a lot of I don't know, it was a little bit of a head scratcher, but then it was great to read through some of the posts. It was like, well, this is considered and written with with the type of drinker that we have in mind, the type of drinker that we want to reach. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't know if any of our, I guess, shifting gears, maybe, I don't know if any of our listeners don't yet watch Mac's Kanpai Planet videos, but his recent series on his spending a week working in a sake brewery is really, really entertaining and informative. It tells you a lot about koji fermentation and all that sort of thing. So it's, largely applicable to shochu. He went out to Sado Island and made sake for a week. It looks like a sake school, basically. Him and a bunch of other students were out there rolling up their sleeves and putting in the work. So
that's
pretty fun.
I think you're exactly. I think it's called Gakko Gura, which means basically translated literally school brewery. I guess school brewery. It's brewery school to flip it around, and which is apparently open to the. It seems like it's open to the public. I'm not entirely sure, and it seems like they can do it in English, which is pretty cool. So he went and did that. And folks, I second Steven's recommendation. It's like I watched the third. I guess there's going to be 9 videos in total. And the third video where it really explains the process of making the koji and everything, it's super well illustrated. And it's like he's kicking, TV networks' asses with this stuff. I mean, this is really well produced video. And I'm like, what did you film that on? And he said it was filmed on a smartphone. I'm like, what the hell? Are you serious? It's just he's really raising the bar here. I mean, organizations around Japan that have budgets to promote these things, pay attention, man, to what Mac is doing, because it's edutainment right there. I mean, it's something that it's so well put together. It's so fun to watch. And what is everybody else doing? That's the question,
Sure.
So
his evolution
video, folks.
Yeah, his evolution just in the year and a half he's been doing this or so, from talking to camera in front of his closet in his apartment to then doing his whiskey reviews in Aloha Bar in Tokyo, where he's got the nice whiskey background and all that, to now going on location and filming things like this is pretty great. And I actually, as a result of watching the sake episodes, I went and I watched his review of the Tsunuki 2022 release, and he actually went to Tsunuki in Kagoshima and interviewed the master distiller. And he has the subtitled interview with the 3 or 4 questions that are pertinent to his review of the bottle cut into the video. I'm like,
fantastic.
Just by himself, and it's pretty great.
It's next level stuff, and it's really unfair to everyone else, because he's just like, he's creating the standard by which everybody else is going to be judged. And
Sure.
he puts a ton of effort into this. I mean,
Oh yeah.
he just, obviously I'm not the person that people come to when they have questions about sake, but the scripting and the planning and everything that he puts into it is just, hats off to him. It's just an
Yep. For
amazing
sure.
amount
For
of
sure.
time and effort.
Yeah. I've never been happier that we're podcasters and not YouTubers.
I know. I know.
Maybe we need to start
Uh,
collaborating with them.
yeah, well, we got to get him on the podcast. That's for damn sure. Well, anyways, yeah. So that was a couple of tangents wound together. Basically, interesting, fresh Japanese drinks content is freely available online. If you go and find it, definitely check out Kanpai Planet. Is what Steven's saying, and I totally agree. And
Sure.
I think there's so many people that could benefit from watching that third video where he really shows you how koji is made.
Mm-hmm.
I think that benefits everyone who gives even one iota of a damn about koji.
Yep.
It's a huge service to show
Sure.
it at that level, and with that, it's not dry. It's not boring stuff either. It's upbeat. It's super informational. He's got his graphics game down. Shows you how they build the sandan shikomi and how it's built over a period of days, and it's so easy to follow. And he is super into getting it right. Like, he will not pull the trigger on it. It's not funny. I feel for him, but he sweats like clicking the publish button on these things because he's such a perfectionist. Anyway, yeah. Good. I'm glad you brought that up. Anyways, now we're 12 minutes deep and we haven't even gotten into the main part of the show. So I'm going to transition to this part if you don't mind. Yep. Got excited about content that's online. Oh, geez. What a bunch of nerds. So it's Awamori month, of course, as March always is. And I took a trip last weekend, just kind of on a whim. It wasn't really planned. It always threatened to do it, but went to Ishigaki for the first time, which I'd always wanted to go to. And it's not hard to get to. I mean, there's a bunch of flights every day from Naha. There are even flights from Narita, apparently, direct flights on Peach. Or as a friend of mine called it in a text message last night by accident, she called it pea hair. So from now on, Peach Air will forever be known as Peahair, pea hair. So pea hair flies from Narita to Ishigaki if you so choose to take that long flight. But Naha to Ishigaki is like an hour. And my goal was to visit Ikehara Shuzo, which is the maker of Shirayuri, which is one of the more interesting awamori to have ever awamoried. It's super funky. And we've talked about it liberally in the past on the show. And I was determined to get to the distillery because I had heard that other distillers were going there to learn, just to see what it's all about. And so it didn't disappoint at all. And I'm mostly I want to show this stuff, and I haven't shown it to Steven before either, but he's going to geek out as hard as harder than anybody here. But Ikehara is ostensibly like a teizukuri handmade awamori, tiny little distillery, like tiny micro distillery. And it's pretty much been operating with the same equipment in the same manner, mostly the same equipment in the same manner for 70 years now. And when you see, the first thing I want to show you is, I want to show you in the quote unquote koji muro, which is basically a 3-sided wooden room with one side completely open, and just this big bed. It's like where you would, Stephen, we've seen you make koji at Yamato Zakura, and you pile it up there in the middle, and you put blankets over it and let it rest, and then it goes into koji buta, into those wooden trays, right? No trays in sight. And this is basically, I'm going to show you the state of the koji on like partway through the second day. Share screen, and this should be so much easier, but it does make it difficult. Okay, before I show you the koji, actually, I want to show you this photo. This is in the koji room, and this gives you an idea of how the koji really flies around the distillery. Look at this. Look at this hydrometer or hygrometer. I apologize. Hydrometer is for measuring specific gravity. This hygrometer that's up in the up on a little. It's not even a shelf, and you can't even read it hardly because it's just covered in black koji. I was like, that is so cool. I love that. So that's a little bit indicative of what's going on here. Let me open this. Do I have a video I can show? I do have a video I can show. So I'm sorry. This is pretty.
This is exciting television you're creating.
I know. Well, I blame StreamYard because StreamYard makes it a lot harder than Zoom to share stuff. You have to have it like perfectly ready to go.
True. But to answer Maya's question, yes, the Shirayuri chat was the one of our episodes that was lost. It's the only one of these that's not archived somewhere. Every other episode of the 95 are in either on Instagram or YouTube and Facebook. And the first time you had me try Shirayuri was probably one of our most entertaining episodes. And it did not archive on Instagram for some reason. So if you didn't see that live, it's never to be seen again. And I'm not sure that we could recreate it.
I don't think you can
because I've had that drink several times since then. So it won't be such a shock, I guess. Maybe we need to get somebody else to taste it for the first time. I can see your folder.
Huh. So it's not showing
not
showing the okay. Well, see that this is a flaw in the StreamYard system because you can see this folder. I want to click on this video and show it to you. It won't let me. So
do you have the video
I have to have it open. Then I'm going to, and I can't even. Oh, there we go. Now stop sharing. Now I have to share again. If I can. Doesn't automatically go back to the screen. Yeah, come on, StreamYard. This should be so much easier. And I finally am going to be able to do this, I think. Yep, here we go. Okay, this should work. Jeez. What
there are still
amateur hour.
Amazing.
Okay, and we're going to hit play. And you can just see it's a gigantic bed of black koji and just hanging out. No koji buta anywhere. And it's just this it's just a big old trough of koji.
And it's a trough of koji in a room that's only protected on 3 sides.
Yeah. It's really weird.
I guess you're in hot and humid Okinawa, so that helps with creating a koji friendly environment, but that's leaving an awful lot up to chance, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is. That's a great way to put it. I think that's what I took away from it too. It is leaving everything up to chance.
Do you have a picture of like the koji room with the missing wall? Like I'm curious about this. Or is just that windows open on the side?
I have a video on my Osmo Pocket that I haven't pulled off there yet. But what another thing that you're gonna love, and I'm gonna show just this one other video, is the still, and this is gonna blow your mind. So it's a pot still, but it's not like any pot still you or I have ever seen. This also happens to be the mushiki. It's the same machine that they use to steam the rice, and there's a freaking blowtorch under there, and there's the still. Look at that thing. Yeah. Yep. Now there's the line arm is removable. So they've got it off to the side, but it's this big kind of.
Okay. So it's not actually in that shot.
No, it's not in the shot. It's off to the right.
Okay.
But they can remove it. I think, of course, they remove it when they're steaming rice in this thing. But the rice steamer and the still are the same damn thing. And I was like, okay, that's pretty amazing. I don't know how to react to this. And he's just like, yeah, it's a pot still. I'm like, well, it is a pot still. Yeah, it also looks like it looks like literally like an upside down pot. A big old, that you would boil lobsters in or something.
It's
such a cool place.
It's wild. I mean, you think about how much time and effort people talk about their still designs in order to get the correct flavor, aroma, etc. You've got your descending swan necks, you've got your flat swan necks, etc. Right? And yet, like every time they put that neck back on there, I can imagine it's
at a slightly different angle, right?
Right? Yeah.
It's like just get it so that the two holes line up is pretty much what they're going for, and it was really cool just because it was such a different experience. And then their fermentation tanks, they've moved from ceramic to actually tanks, but they're tiny. They're smaller than a clay pot, and they're just they're just standing there. There's like, I can't remember how many, there might have been 6 or 7 or 8 of them in this little alcove, and they are so small. I was shocked how small these metal tanks were. I would say like, between 100 and 200 liters each, maybe. And
really,
and I was like, this is crazy. So they're doing this super, super small fermentations, which I guess makes sense because you saw the size of that damn still. It's not like they can put a whole lot in there at once. So it was remarkable. And then to cap it all off, as we were saying our goodbyes, I turned around and I noticed he had a couple of Tokyo Yakult Swallows bangers hanging from one of the shelves in the office. He's like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, I'm a fan. I'm like, oh man, I love you. I love this place. I love your drinks. And now that you're a Swallows fan, I love you even more. So that was a good one. And what did I learn? I just learned that there's always another way to do it. There's always, and that's why you never go to a distillery just once, because every time you go there, you're going to peel back 2 more layers. So I just scratched the surface with my visit.
Sure.
And I have so many questions, and I could tell he was like, oh God, this guy's going to be a handful. So I tried to keep it. I tried to curb my enthusiasm. I just warned him, I'm like, I'm going to be back. And I might be bringing people. So,
oh yeah, no, I think a trip's in order for sure. That's fantastic. So we did get a couple of questions during your presentation. One, John is asking, so a low reflux still, and we didn't see what kind of neck is on there, like how tall it is and that sort of thing. But
it's really
how do they control the boil?
Like 2 right angles. I don't know. I don't think he controls anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if
what happens,
he just got like that. I couldn't exactly tell what his heating source was, but it looked like, you said blowtorch, but it sort of looked like one of those big space heaters that they have at the sidelines of football games. But I'm sure it's much more powerful than that.
Yeah, and they just rammed it into the base there, and they heat the bottom of the still with it. It's gas fired, so.
Right. That's wild. I'd be interested. Maybe on their Instagram or something, they've got a picture of the still when it's put together. We should try to track down a picture of what it looks like when it's all set up.
The Shirayuri, to give you their handle just so that people can track it down. Let me make sure it's Shirayuri, SHIRAYURI, 1951. So it looks like they've been making Shirayuri since, for 72 years now, or 71 years now.
Instagram handle, cool.
Yep, Shirayuri 1951 is how you can follow them. And a good question, John. Another question I saw in here, the cuts. I mean, this is interesting because we got a podcast coming out about this in April.
Yeah, I was going to share that one next because it's.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Go ahead if you were planning.
Yeah. So we actually just recorded our next episode of Japan Distilled. Obviously, the Umami Mart interview is in your feed now, but the next episode will be all about cuts. So it's a great question. Have you learned anything while you've been in Okinawa about the cuts in Awamori? That's a good question.
I think the answer is yeah, because I do always ask about it. Is that it's most of what would normally be called the heads are included in what is kept, so it's included in the hearts, and that they let it run for a long time. So low double digits or even single digits on the final ABV before they turn the spigot off is common. It's just it's that in that sense, it's I kind of like this too. It's a spirit with a really, really big heart. Yeah, I just did some ad copy for someone. You're welcome. Send me a bottle.
Yeah, no, and that was a fun episode to record. Obviously, the research is part of what I enjoy about scripting those and getting everything ready. But I learned a lot more about cuts than I knew previously, and that's always a good thing to expand knowledge. And hopefully,
absolutely,
it's informative for the folks who listen. And that'll be out, I guess, probably Tuesday next week.
I was going to ask. So, okay.
Yeah, I think we in the first season we were trying to get them out on Mondays, but I think for this season we're probably
doing it on Shochu'sday.
It'll be so Monday. It should drop late night Monday in Japan. No, wait, late night Tuesday in Japan.
Tuesday
morning in the rest of the world, I guess.
Shochu'sday,
and it's yeah, it's a. I think that cadence works a little bit better because typically I'm giving the last listen and making the show notes over the weekend, and it gives Rich a chance to not spend his weekend editing, doing the final
right,
and then getting it ready to release on Monday. So anyway, yeah, and that'll be fun. And then again, as always, if anybody has ideas for shows, we're always looking for new things. We got a laundry list of things we do want to cover, but we also like to be responsive to folks. So this actually came up. We'd had previous questions about cuts, and then and then somebody on japandistilled.com had written a comment asking about hanatare shochu, and that really is just basically bottling the heads. And I thought it'd be great to do an episode about that, but maybe we cover cuts first. And so we do talk a little bit about hanatare shochu as well.
It makes an appearance, yeah.
So fun.
Yeah, so there you go. That's listener instigated content right there. So we are paying attention. And John Go just asked. He said, "Talk about chestnut shochu, please." Okay, we could do that too.
I feel like he's got a security camera in my my office here.
He knows exactly what you got behind you. He's just waiting for you to move out of the way, and then he's going to screenshot it again at a higher resolution. We definitely probably. I mean, we briefly covered sweet potato shochu. There's probably like 6 or 7 more episodes we could do on, just going a little deeper in different directions on that. Chestnut, of course, deserves an episode. There's other ingredients that deserve episodes. Absolutely.
Haven't done buckwheat yet either. The soba. So
that's a big one. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that'll. And in fairness, I've never seen it made, so I want to visit someplace that makes it before I try to.
I've been to Unkai and got the generic tour, and it's.
Oh sure,
yeah.
I did. Yeah. That place has almost a Disneyland feel. I was surprised there wasn't a roller coaster. And
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised there wasn't some kind of like open-sided train that everybody sat in while they went through the thing. No disrespect to Unkai, they're doing amazing stuff. I just we'll just have to set up a proper visit as soon as.
A little different than Shirayuri, isn't
it? A little bit, yeah. Just going back, we just got another comment. Benjamin over on Facebook said, "I thought the heads were methanol." That's a great comment. There's It's convenient. It's really convenient when you're starting your distillate run, because if you control the run and you don't make it go too fast, the bulk of the methanol spikes really early like right off the bat. It's some of the first stuff out of the still, and it has a super high volatility and is not very alcohol soluble. So it doesn't fuse with the alcohol and it just releases really quick. So if you can get the bulk of it out of there in the first few percentage points of your run. And then you never can completely remove any part of that distillate, including the methanol. Even in the cleanest of systems, you'll never get rid of 100% of methanol. And that's just a fact of alcohol production. It's just that you get rid of the concentration of methanol that can blind and hurt people. So, and then it's pretty easy to do. It very conveniently excuses itself from the still really quick. It can't stand the heat. It's just like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's basically what makes distillation possible for human consumption, right? I mean, if the methanol was just evenly distributed throughout the whole thing, you'd have a really hard time getting it out of there.
Oh, yeah.
Right. We'd still be using it as, to make perfumes and tinctures and things like that, things that we aren't actually consuming and enjoying. We'd still be drinking brewed beverages. I guess maybe I don't want to spoil too much of the episode, but since the question came up, it really is that there's another expression, which is the 4 shots. And it's almost like that methanol is at the very beginning of the heads. So you discard that. The rest of the heads has usable alcohol and some interesting aroma and flavor compounds that some distilleries will either use for either redistillation or they'll blend to keep some of those heads after the methanol's gone. It's sort of like the 4 shots are like, I don't know, what the hair. If the head is the beginning, the hair is the top.
It needs a bad haircut. Like it needs a haircut desperately.
Yeah, so the 4 shots are the haircut. Yeah, and you get rid of that hair. You don't use it for anything.
Nah, you need a nice crew cut. And so in that sense, even though most of the time we talk about heads and hearts and tails, there's actually probably 4 sections, at least the way we think of it. There's actually 4 shots: heads, hearts, and tails. I think is a better way to think of it, especially because when in the context of shochu and awamori, and maybe also in the context of, like, let's say pisco or something, or sorry, not pisco, cachaça, perhaps. You've got such a wide heart cut that it feels like you're kind of bleeding over into the head. So it is really important to distinguish between the 4 shots and the heads. So when people say they're keeping the heads in shochu and awamori production, they're not keeping the 4 shots. That doesn't go in the bottle. So they're actually, that's kind of like it's like they don't start the clock until that stuff has released itself out of the equation.
That's right. Yeah, it's been described to me that they let enough run out that it cleans the pipes, right? So they've pushed out what was ever in the pipe before from the previous run, and they let a little more run out, and they describe it as cleaning the pipes, but they're actually getting rid of the 4 shots. And that goes
that's discarded. So it gone. And that's why, as long as you're not dealing with somebody, just don't ever buy spirits from someone who's selling it in a PET bottle, right? In a plastic bottle. Just don't do that. And as long as you don't do that, as long as you're buying through established channels, you never have to worry about your spirit being too heady. Maybe we can say, you'll get if you have any of the heads, you'll get the ones that are totally fit for consumption. But anyways, we're okay. We're doing good time here. Let's shall we shift away? Otherwise, we're going to give away too much of the.
That's true.
Give away too much of the milk for free. Let's see. Do
people pay for the podcast? I don't think so.
Fair point.
We should think about that.
Should we set up a Patreon or however you pronounce that thing? Let's see. What's the final one? Newly opened. What you got? Where's my bottle? I got one right here. I have a bottle kill, and then I have this. I'm going to share mine first. Awamori. This is a brand called Tokiwa, which is made on Izena Island, a little bit north of the main island of Okinawa. And Tokiwa, I guess, is their flagship brand, and it's nice. The one thing I like about this is on the nose there's a really interesting, like, sake kasu note, like the sake lees note on it.
Interesting.
And it's a good grainy feel to it. It's not one of the ones that you think of all the time when you when you think of Awamori, it's not like a everywhere, but it does have one of those classic labels that are kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know, there's
I love
obviously a
those
lot of
little
story
labels.
to be told here, I think.
Yeah.
I know Tokiwa is a surname, which is a pretty cool surname if you ask me, Tokiwa. And then I think it's also the name of a type of cherry tree. So
Okay.
I'm not sure which one this refers to. I haven't been to this distillery. Izena Island is tiny. It's a ferry ride from Nakijin up north of here. It's on the bucket list. Anyways, it's good. I enjoyed it. 30% ABV.
Cool.
I'd buy it again. How about you?
Yeah. So this is the reason I was suspicious of John's ability to see my what's off camera in my office. This is Dabada, which is a chestnut shochu. And this is now available in the States, or it has been recently. I know that, but what they'll do is they just take the domestic packaging, like the domestic label, and they actually put like the UPC code or the government warning sticker right above it on the front of the bottle instead of on the back of the bottle.
Yeah, can you even see it?
Can't even see. What do you mean?
The government?
No. The U.S. in the U.S. That's how the packaging looks.
Okay, I see. I'm sorry.
They got a 750 bottle because this was before the change in the bottle size regulations, but they didn't bother to change the label, so they just put their domestic label on, and then they slapped a big white sticker above it with all the required government information. But they didn't put it on the back of the bottle. So, but it has been available in the States. I can't speak as whether or not it still is, because it's been a few years since I've seen it. But this is their their Japanese packaging. This is a 900 ml. Christopher and I have probably said many, many times that we hate the 900 ml bottles. This is absolutely an exception. This is pretty fun. And I like the little string around. It's kind of a nice touch as well. And this is I'm guessing vacuum distilled chestnut shochu. So really bright. But what's interesting is when you drink it straight around the rocks, I don't get a lot of chestnut. Well, the chestnut came through for me when I drank it with soda.
Interesting.
So that effervescence, I think, helps with those aroma compounds. But it's a nice, easy drink, 25% alcohol. It is the most famous or most popular chestnut shochu by far.
No doubt about it.
It's from Kochi, is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's from Shikoku. So Shikoku is the island east of Kyushu. Not a lot of shochu made there, but a little bit, and they are known for chestnut. So another place to visit.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
I think there's a ferry from Oita even. So
yeah, there is
one way to do it.
Yeah, I think that what I was just surprised, because I know this brand is readily available around Japan, but I haven't necessarily seen it in a supermarket before, at least not here in Kyushu. And it popped up on a supermarket shelf, and I was like, that's worth picking up. So I've been enjoying it. I think it's the first time I've actually bought a bottle of this. So I've had it in bars, izakaya, that kind of thing. Yep.
It's not easy to find. Very cool. Okay. Some good diversity there in our choices. I like it. Well, mine was to be expected, but this week I didn't pick a major brand.
Looking forward to more Awamori in your newly opened. And if we can just go back to Awamori for question, I think we had a good question from Fletcher. With Awamori production, do they ever let the black koji go to spore in what they use? Like, how long do they let the koji propagation run before putting it into the fermentation? And I think that's a fair question. Christopher, you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, we've seen a few different durations. We've seen as long as a 4-day koji inoculation. Matsufuji uses a 3-day. Most of the industry, like the sake world and like the shochu world, uses a 2-day koji inoculation or propagation. And so I would say that the majority of the Awamori industry is very similar to shochu. And I guess, Stephen, you can speak more to that.
Yeah, and that's my sense as well. As the longest we've seen is the 4-day Awamori koji inoculation. But then also they may be a little more fast and loose, as we saw from your Shirayuri visit, in how carefully they maintain humidity and temperature in their koji room. right? So that
Yeah,
that
they
could
can't. The answer
that
is
could
they
let things
don't.
run wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
So
with
there's,
Shirayuri, with that open space, are they inoculating with koji, or is that actually just house koji
I didn't ask,
coming
but
in?
I think they are using, I think they're using an actual like third party cool. Well,
Yeah,
they're using
using the spores.
Inui Koji. Uh, so I think they're using an isolated strain to keep
Okay.
it consistent.
Sure.
So, but it's there's a lot left, as you said. There's a lot left to chance there, which I think is pretty fun.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, and so I don't know. Yeah, will 4 days take you to spore? I'm not sure. It probably depends on the conditions, but it's a long. It does change it changes the character of the drink quite a bit, right? When you get the
Or
longer
have they
koji
just domesticated
duration.
the koji to the point that it can't really mutate, and it can't really, I don't know. I know that yeast, they've pretty much trained, they've trained it to be so much the same that it doesn't ever, it can't really mutate anymore. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's kept
It's
in such carefully controlled environments with the yeast, but I think that black koji is an ancient mold, and I think it's pretty difficult to wrangle. As the picture of the wall of the koji room shows you, that black koji will just grow everywhere. I mean, we made black koji Yamato Zakura once. Well, we did it. We made it for 4 days one season in 2016, and even this past fall when I went and I was working in the koji room, when I was sweeping up the rice on the floor that had spilled over the process of the day's work, some of it was starting to grow black.
there's still
Not
it's still in
there's
there.
still
I don't know how you get rid
Yep.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't get into the main, the white koji is doing its job as it's supposed to, but that black koji is strong.
It's in there. Yeah. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of like Nakamura's setup. He's got both of those strains living in that room, in some sort of harmony. And, it's remarkable what can come of it.
For sure.
But yeah, so I think that's going to be a follow-up question for me, is to ask whether or not he's using what percentage of it is store-bought koji, and what percentage is just allowed to come from the environment.
Yeah. He may not even know, really.
Yeah, difficult one. He's just like, we just do it the way we've always done it. I imagine there's store-bought koji involved.
Yeah,
it's just too unreliable otherwise, I think.
So you're going to give us another distillery tour next week?
I will be able to. I have a
Right.
distillery tour lined up for this afternoon, a place that I've visited once but didn't really get. I kind of caught him at a bad time and didn't get a good tour. So today I should get a good tour. And I will bring my little Osmo Pocket and record for all of y'all. All right.
Great.
And
Yeah.
I think what do we have anything else to announce? Do we have anything we need to remind people of? I don't think we do.
No. Well, we got, if you haven't listened to Umami Mart yet, have a listen. You might have a new favorite bottle shop after you do. And next week we have our cuts episode. So
yep.
Yeah,
excellent.
That's
okay.
all I got.
Yep. So go consume some of that content, please, and tell us your thoughts. And we'll be back again next week with episode number 96 of Shochu'sday. And thank you very much for tuning in once again. We love you. We are very, very gratified that you guys are asking questions and interested in what we're you're picking up what we're throwing down. And we will be back with more Shochu'sday goodness in a week's time. Until then, from both of us here in Japan to all of you out there around the world, a very hearty and heartfelt kanpai.
Kanpai.